Hello there. Welcome to the Amma Manson Show. So, hopefully, you are not a stranger here. But what goes on here is education, definitely some empowerment. We add humor, information, and just a good vibe generally. It is not just a talk show, it's a live show. We talk about life, we unpick life, we find solutions to the things that stress us in life, and we make progress together. It is the Amma Manson Show, and my name is Amma, your girl, your educator, your motivator, and I kick your hind wherever we need to. Enjoy, invite other people to join in, and hopefully, you have a wonderful experience on today's show. Let's get straight into things. Hello there. Welcome to the Amma Manson Show. So, hopefully, you are not a stranger here. But what goes on here is education, definitely some empowerment. We add humor, information, and just a good vibe generally. It is not just a talk show, it's a live show. We talk about life, we unpick life, we find solutions to the things that stress us in life, and we make progress together. It is the Amma Manson Show, and my name is Amma, your girl, your educator, your motivator, and I kick your hind wherever we need to. Enjoy, invite other people to join in, and hopefully, you have a wonderful experience on today's show. Let's get straight into things. Okay, hello there, hello again. So, this is Amma. My job is to bring the topics that few people or nobody actually wants to discuss to the table. It is my job to bring the unpopular topics, the uncomfortable topics, making sure that what shouldn't be missed is not missed. Today, I actually want to take on one of the huge ones. I really need to do this. Yesterday, I picked on stereotypes. I'm hoping that by these topics, we will bring a little bit of liberty to people who at the moment struggle because of some of our stereotypes. We are a very stereotypical group of people. Sometimes we do it without even realizing. And it's important to confront some of those head on so that we all become aware of our roles in these things. We all become a little bit more careful, and it makes our engagement, our social interaction a lot better generally. Right. So today we are discussing mental illnesses. We are actually breaking the stereotypes of mental illnesses. And I want to start with this diagram you can see right here. Some of these things recorded in the head actually says hello. And yes, hello to most of us. Most of us have no idea that these things might be considered mental illnesses. Panic is a mental illness. Hello. Did you know that? Did you know that? That's fear. It goes beyond just ordinary fear. That fear which makes your bile rise. That fear which affects your gut and your digestive system. It makes it so difficult for you to breathe. That is panic. It's a mental illness. And we panic about different things, all right? Some of these things we panic about are so illogical that if you are somebody who has panics, you experience panic attacks. I have lived with panic attacks before, and it's quite difficult to explain that to anybody else. And they're like, well, what are you so afraid of? Well, if it was that logical, if it was that justifiable, we would not call it a mental illness. It is an illness. All right. Depression, I think that one is obvious. Stress for most people don't even realize that stress is also an indicator, and it's a mental illness in itself. Shame, extreme shame can make people withdraw. Extreme shame can make it impossible for people to engage socially. It's one of those that most of us miss. We incite it in other people. We bring people to this position, and we don't even know. We have no idea that it is us who create this. We facilitate this. We make it happen. I want you to realize that anxiety is a problem, and it's caused by some of the loose statements we make. People are so anxious about things because of the judgments we make. It is impossible to do certain things in some people's eyes because of what other people will perceive. And if I become aware of these things, and if I am a little bit more considerate of my dealings with people with this knowledge in the background, then I might be kinder to people. I might lead less people towards mental illnesses. And that's what I really want to do today. Grief, the G is missing from the top, but hello, did you know that grief is actually a mental illness? Extreme grief can take over your life. If anybody told me this before my dad's demise, I would not have actually managed to understand, because I had never really experienced that kind of grief before. I had lost family members, I'd lost friends and whatnot, but it turns out that they were not as close and direct. And that's the reason why it was easy for me to manage. People would say, but your dad was old. Yes, he was old. Doesn't make it any different. But you were a big girl. Why is this such a big deal? People lose parents all the time. Even children lose parents. I'm like, you can say some of these things because you've never really been there before. If you've walked in those shoes. If you've struggled it yourself. It might help you to actually rationalize what goes on in people's heads. And it might make you a little bit more thoughtful of the words you choose when you interact with people. Mental illnesses are real. Mental illnesses are not different from other illnesses. Just as you will not blame me for suddenly getting a headache. Unless, I don't know, what justification could you even give it? You would not blame me for getting a headache. So you will not blame me for having a panic attack. No, you will not blame me for feeling stressed. It's a biological response. Yes, I can have a phobia. I can even fear water. I've seen people who have hydrophobia before. And for other people, it seems illogical. But if you've not walked that person's path, it's quite unfair to make a judgment on things you don't know. One of the things I am challenging today I am actually focusing on mental illness. I want to discuss mental illness openly. I want people to appreciate the fact that these things are not things you blame people for. You help people through. It is much better to help people through mental illness, to support people to overcome mental illness, to stop blaming people for having mental illness, to stop ridiculing mental illness, because I don't see anything funny about it. I shared another infographic today. I've had quite a lot of feedback from that one. I will put that back up on the screen so we can all share this again and have a discussion over it. I am looking to break stereotypes. I really do need people to appreciate. I hope this is the right page. Let's see. There we go. It's really not a big deal. Honestly, it's really not a big deal. It is like having a headache. Really like having a headache. Just as you can have a headache and you can have it in peace without judgment. When you have a mental illness, you should also be allowed to exist in peace without judgment. Have you ever wondered why people living with mental illnesses suffer in silence? And this is what I really want to tackle. People are actually struggling. They really could do with support and help. But because of your stereotypes, because of your loose talk, because of the stigma attached to this, people who have, I don't know, which illnesses don't even have, somebody who has a cancer, somebody who's got diabetes. We don't judge people who've got diabetes, even type 2 diabetes, which might be linked in with lifestyle. We do not judge people who've got it. We've sort of come to accept the type 2 diabetes might happen, it can't happen. You know, we forgive people for their roles in acquiring type 2 diabetes. We don't actually stigmatize it in any way. But when somebody has a mental illness, you do not receive the same treatment. And that has to change. People who suffer mental illness are people who really do need support. They need to engage with society a lot more. And it doesn't happen because of the stigma. So it says that stop the stigma. Let's talk about it. Let's talk honestly about it. Let's actually open the can and look inside this box. It's a Pandora's box. There's a lot of things going on in this box. And it's about time that we enter the jumbled brains of people who are undergoing some of these things to understand the complexities in order to be able to be reasonable human beings and offer support. Would you even recognize somebody who's dealing with a mental illness? This is something I ask people in my network. I ask all the time. Might you recognize somebody who is actually struggling? Might you recognize this? Would you know how to identify who is going through this? And if someone were to open up to you and say that I am getting a bit depressed, would you know what to do? Those of you who actually operate on social media definitely need to start getting some of these things in hand. Yes, you've put yourself forward. Yes, you've made yourself a go-to place for people. And yes, people will come to you. I have had so many instances where people have come to me with all manner of things. And sometimes I'm stumped. I will have to say to the person, hold on a minute. Just hold on. Can I come back to you? Can I go and equip myself better before I attempt to deal with this scenario so that I don't do more damage than I can help you? Hold on. Let me clarify. Let me come back to you. If you talk in the public domain, if you've created a page on social media and you engage with our people, especially those of us who've made ourselves advisory characters, you will get people who trust you enough, who will open up to you and tell you their struggles. But before they do come, you have to make sure that you have acquired the knowledge, the experience to be able to help people effectively or to point people in the right direction if you are incapable of helping. You will not be able to help everybody. You will not know it all. It is impossible and it would not be expected of you, but it pays to know where else you go. It pays to know where else you go. Some of these things, again, I am continuing to share images I find very powerful, images that make it easy for more people to actually understand what we are contending with here. I want you to see all the various forms that might be acceptable as mental illnesses so that when somebody presents any of these things, we are all clear of what it might be. And we are also clear of how to support people. That's my ultimate aim. Let me share this one too, so that we can all see this one too. Yeah. Okay. Does anything in this list actually surprise you? I think some of you will find some of them quite surprising. I mean, smoking addiction of all types, addiction to food, addiction to pain, yeah, all manner of addiction. I mean, schizophrenia is one most people will pick up. Addiction, okay, some people will pick up. Eating disorders, do you guys know? Are you aware that eating disorders are also mental illnesses? So if you actually look at the exhaustive list, we all have some kind of mental illness or the other. I am no better than the person who's got schizophrenia. No, I am no better than the person who's got manic depression. No, I am no better than the person who's addicted to something, because my weight loss disorder is not better than somebody's anxiety disorder. It's not better than somebody's substance addiction. It is not better than somebody's addiction to smoking. And I want us all to understand. I want us all to recognize the ones that we identify with. I need us all to work together as a community so that we know that it's not restricted to a particular group. It is not just one particular type, that you can have so many different versions of them. It is my aim this week to help you realize that even you, yes, you, holy you, special you, doesn't put a foot wrong you, Madam has got it all together you, Mr. On top of the world you. If you look at the long list of mental disorders, and if you are actually sincere and honest, you will discover that you do suffer from a few. So let me break the mold today and let me give you some of my declarations. My name is Amma Manson, and I have eating disorders. Maybe not the type that are popular. I'm not bulimic. I'm not anorexic. But I have certain patterns of eating which brings me to weight loss disorders. I am your eternal weight loss girl. Sometimes I look back at my pictures, especially 2 years after they were taken. And after 2 years, I look at my pictures and then I realize what was wrong with me. There was nothing wrong with me at the time. If I actually did look like that right now, I would be on top of the world. And you know what is funny? In 2 more years, I will realize that I actually was on top of it all along, even when I thought that I would have liked to look what I looked like 5 years ago. Do you people get that? Do you people also recognize this? Do you identify with this? Do some of you acknowledge struggling with these as I do? I have an eternal weight loss disorder. I am always looking for program after program after program to lose weight. And then after a little bit, I feel like, and then after that, it's not real. It's not real. I am not half as fat as I see myself. No, I am not half as flabby as I see myself. And even I see that sometimes. But there are many times when I don't see the reality of what I look like. And because of weight loss disorders, many people can become anxious. Anxiety is another one. Financial difficulties. For me, financial difficulties that come with establishing a business. It's a willful choice I have made. It is one I have made on full disclosure and understanding. But when your bank balance is at a particular point and it doesn't facilitate the lifestyle you want, you become anxious about things. I become anxious about putting on weight. So since I've been indoors with coronavirus, I have tried hard to be sensible, but I've always wondered, what do I look like? Oh my God, I'm so fat. Oh my God. But then when you wear your clothes and you see the real outline, okay, I've been sedentary. I've gained a pound or two, but actually it's nowhere near what it could have been. But I've been so anxious about it. I've been so worried about it. And sometimes I found myself overeating because of it. It's a catch-22 because it's a mental illness. Depression. I haven't been depressed in the clinical form, if you like, but I've seen episodes where I might have spiraled towards it. Definitely postnatal depression was one. I had a very narrow escape from postnatal depression, So my name is Amma Manson, and I can tell you that I do have some of these mental disorders we have shared. I am not immune to them. I am not special in any way. I do feel stress. Sometimes I even panic about certain things. I have my ridiculous phobias. I do have my ridiculous phobias. I am somebody who travels a lot, but I still have a phobia of heights. Do you see how illogical it is? I fly all the time, but I'm never really comfortable. And I'm not comfortable beyond, I don't know. When I go past floor 10 of a building, I feel like a bird. I feel like anything could happen and I could drop from my nest because it's illogical. It's a mental illness. Yes, grief, the traumatic event of my father's demise, post-traumatic stress disorder, I struggled with definitely the first 12 to 18 months. I really did struggle. And I would cry when my husband was being nice to our children. It is illogical because it's a mental illness. It's illogical. It does not make sense. My own children were being loved by their dad, my husband, and it made me cry. That is when I actually understood the struggle is beyond the individual a lot of the time. The struggle requires external intervention many times. It requires a community approach a lot of the time. And that's what I'm hoping to do. I am hoping that this day, by sitting here and making my acknowledgements and my declarations, I am actually also calling you to be honest and also to make your own acknowledgements and declarations. Please feel free to use the comment section to put yours out. I want people who identify with some of these things to come to this video and realize they are not alone. They think it's an affliction which is personal, and it's not. It is a common affliction. I am afflicted. You are afflicted. Anybody who is honest enough to look will find at least one kind of mental illness that they would associate themselves with, that they live with. There is nothing shameful about an illness. When you are ill, you need help. You need treatment. You need to find the strength to actually go somewhere and tell them, I am having depressive thoughts, without feeling guilty, without judging yourself, overly judging yourself, because anybody can have depressive thoughts. Believe me. Anybody can be addicted to things. No, it's not everybody who becomes addicted to hard drugs, as I keep saying. Some of you are addicted to social media. That's an addiction. Some of you are addicted, and I am one of those people who's addicted to food when I am upset. I have my food addictions. I have the lack of control over my mouth. That makes me feel even fatter than I actually am because I know exactly what I'm consuming. Sometimes you need help. Actually, most of the time you need help externally. And don't be shy to ask for help. So on this day, I want you to watch my video and I want you to know mental illness is not madness. Mental illness is any deviation from mental well-being at any particular point in time. It might be a short-term illness, it might be a long-term illness, but it is still an illness. Yes. Having cancer is an illness. Having a headache is also an illness. You have different categories of them, different stages of them. And we need to acknowledge these, and we need to break the stigma so people who need help can feel empowered to go seek this help. It is so important to me. We live in different places and we have different support mechanisms. I will be eternally grateful for those of you who do know to put these support systems in the comment section for me right now. Where would people in the United Kingdom go if they identify with any of these mental illnesses? What about people in the United States, in Canada, in Germany, in Italy, in Spain? Where would people go? Who can they speak to? Who would listen without being judgmental? Who would actually help when it counts? Put those contact details in the comment section for me, and let's actually do something worthy today. We will continue to work on this, but I don't want these videos to become too long, so I'm going to keep them right here. My name is Amma Manson, and I do suffer from some mental illnesses at different times and different stages of my life, and I have absolutely no shame in making that claim. And whenever I have felt that I needed help, I have always run to help before it escalates, before it spirals out of control. That is the sensible thing to do. Ask for help. And even if the people in your life are not enlightened and they find it funny, that's their problem, not yours. That is an exhibition of their ignorance, not yours. It is no reflection on you. There is no pride lost in seeking help when you need it. So please don't let other people's judgment stop you from seeking what you need. My name is Amma Manson. I am the one who discusses the uncomfortable topics. I drag big elephants to the room for discussion. And this is a mammoth of a topic. We need to talk. See you soon.